Okay, so love, y'all. It's Love Week. So, Valentine's Day is kind of mixed. It's one of those, Hallmark holiday kind of things, right? But I want you guys to kind of think about it differently, because Valentine's Day is a little hard for me too. My paternal grandmother actually passed away on Valentine's Day. We have a hard time with holidays. So my paternal grandmother on Valentine's Day, my maternal grandmother over Thanksgiving, and then my father on New Year's Eve. So, holidays are just kind of interesting. So but when you think about Valentine's Day, I want to think about it broader than just, chocolate, and if you're not booed up, you can't do Valentine's Day, all that kind of stuff. Okay. We're going to talk about Valentine's Day, or talk about Love Week, in terms of self-care and self-love, and how you can make sure that you step into your magnificence, because you are magnificent. You have everything you need. You are absolutely enough. You are fantastic, and you deserve to love you, whether or not nobody else loves you, which I'm sure there are a lot of people who love all of y'all. Okay. But you don't need to I don't want you to get caught up in your relationship status and forget that it is important to just have a little bit of self-care, self-awareness, self-love. Because if we don't take care of ourselves first, we cannot serve other people. And so I did a podcast on this a couple of years ago, I think, called Put Your Mask On First. And there's a reason they do that on airplanes. We've talked about that before. They say, put your mask on first before helping others. And that's because if you're so busy trying to help everybody else and you don't have your mask on, you pass out, they're fine. And then what happens, right? So it is important that you put yourself on the list. My friend Holly Dowling often says, it is not selfish, right, to be selfless. And I mean, it's not bad to be selfish. And in fact, she says you have to be a little selfish in order to be selfless. Mm-hmm. You have to be a little selfish in order to be selfless. So you can't, all these cliches, right? You can't serve from an empty cup. You got to, all of that stuff. At the bottom, at the end of the day, it's about making sure you are fulfilling you. And the quote I did on Monday, because I love Bishop Michael Curry. He is just, if you've not listened to him, he is amazing. He is the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church in the United States. He is the one that did the sermon at Harry and Meghan's wedding. Like I know them, right? Harry and Meghan. Like I was a guest at the wedding. He did the sermon there. And one of the things he talked about is love. His whole thing is love. And his book about love is fantastic. But one of his quotes was, love God. There's power in love. Love God. Love your neighbor. And while you're at it, love yourself. And I just thought that was so powerful, especially from a man of God, right? Because it's always love your neighbor, love your neighbor, love your neighbor, love your neighbor. And I remember being in this Bible study and we were talking about that. And it struck me, especially for women. So guys, I think y'all do a little bit of this, but women, we are really bad at this. Love thy neighbor as thyself, right? We hear that a lot. Love thy neighbor, love thy neighbor. Treat people like you want to be treated. Love thy neighbor. But here's the thing. When we say love thy neighbor as you love yourself, we don't love ourselves. So we're actually treating our neighbors better than we treat us. Women especially, right? So if we treated people the way we treated us, they wouldn't love us so much. Right? We just wouldn't. It would not be the same if we treated people the way we treat ourselves. And so my suggestion to you this week, as we talk about it, is how do we ensure that we are putting ourselves on the list, that we are treating ourselves with love and respect, so that we can do that same thing for others and we can serve bigger and better. Because that's what it's all about. It's about service. It's about what are you putting out into the world? Because that's how we become leaders. That's how we set cultures. That's how we build businesses that make big impacts. That's how we impact students and neighbors and friends and loved ones, by being the best that we can be, so that we can deliver the best of ourselves, of our skills and dispositions, right? And so if we're not taking the time to ensure that we are managing and promoting our own wellness, then we're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to serve people. We're not going to be able to lift others up, because we're not going to have the energy. And it's important for us to make sure that we're having the energy that we need to be able to do that. Now, a few things around that too, especially because, with February, it's also February 5th was Go Red for Women Day, but it's Heart Health Month as well. And, you know, see, this is just divine because our audience member is a nurse.
Yeah.
My mom's a nurse too. We have a tendency in the U.S. You guys are much better at this in Europe, and in kind of that Pan-Asian region too. Just because your habits and your food are a little bit cleaner than ours. We have a tendency not to pay as much attention to our health. We have a tendency not to really take care of our hearts. And especially in communities of color. And when you talk about, I mean, there's a whole socioeconomic conversation, right, around access to care, the kind of care we get, how doctors and nurses are being trained to care for communities of color, you know, and the kind of things that go around and say, you know, our skin is thicker, so we don't feel as much pain and all that kind of madness. That's just not true, but it's historically been in there. That's what they call systemic racism. The same thing around vaccines, the Tuskegee experiment and all that kind of stuff, right? But we are responsible for our health. When you don't feel good, this is what it is about self-love and self-care. When something doesn't feel right, go figure out what that is. We have a tendency to just say, oh, well, it'll be okay. It'll get better. If I just sit here a minute, it'll get better. Okay, well, sit there for about 5 minutes. If it's not better, you need to do something different. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So part of Love Week is getting your self-love right and go see a doctor. I've got a good friend of mine in Austin who I'm still waiting for him to confirm his doctor's appointment with me because he committed in October. It is now February. So I'm waiting. If you're listening, I'm waiting for the confirmation that you have the appointment to make that happen. Okay? Because here's the thing. So many things, while you already may be in the throes of some issue, there are things that are either reversible or at least manageable so they don't have to get worse. And so part of that ability to love and care for yourself so you can serve others, because again, all of this, the Rutledge perspective is all about service. You're serving others. You are here for a purpose, whatever that purpose is. And if you're not here, you can't fulfill your purpose. So what are you doing to ensure your longevity so you can fulfill the purpose you've been put here to fulfill? And part of that is taking care of your health. Part of that is getting your screenings. Part of that is paying attention to what you're putting in your mouth. And I got to watch that too. None of us is perfect. None of us is perfect. None of us is perfect. They were just talking about Tom Brady this morning, about whom I also have mixed feelings. And his diet, why he's got such longevity and why he's so great and why he's, you know, this. And he doesn't eat sugar and he doesn't eat alcohol and he goes to bed at 9 o'clock and he wakes up at 6 o'clock and he does mind exercises every day and he does meditation and he doesn't eat table salt and he doesn't eat things that cause inflammation like mushrooms and tomatoes, and there was something else they listed. Now, the other thing about being healthy and loving yourself is being reasonable. And that's what happens sometimes when we go like all out, right? Because we as a world have a tendency to have an all or nothing kind of mentality. We're going to go hard. We talked about that hustle and grind mentality. Oh, I got to lose 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 800 pounds, whatever it is. I'm going to go hard. I'm going to stop eating all this stuff and I'm just going to do shakes. Really? That's going to last about 2 minutes. Because whatever you do needs to be sustainable. Mm-hmm. And if it's so restrictive, if it's so hard, not only you're not going to be able to sustain it, you're probably going to do more damage, and then you're going to be upset, and then you just start the spiral, right? It starts over and over again. It's the same thing about acknowledging who you are and where you are. So when I left corporate at the end of 2017, or when I decided at the end of 2016 to leave corporate, I left at the end of 2017. The decision was based around a number of these things that I've been talking about. I was brought up, like many of us, work harder, be faster, dig deeper, be smarter, all of that kind of stuff, right? And even when you do that, you still don't have to do more because you just don't know what's going on. That's just kind of culturally the way we were raised. And there's nothing wrong with a good work ethic, but and as you get older, you got to understand what's a good work ethic, what's just habit, and what is detrimental. You want to learn to work smarter, not harder, and not compare yourself to everybody else. And so what I recognized was I just wasn't feeling good. And here's the thing that I would caution all of you guys during Love Week is we get in such the habit of just making do and making it work and just, I'm just tired. I'm just exhausted. It's okay. Maybe it's me. I just didn't communicate as well. Maybe, we get all of these things when we're not feeling good, as opposed to just pausing. Practice the pause, because there's power in the pause. Pausing and saying, wait, what am I feeling? How long has it been this way? Is there something that's triggering? Just doing that kind of mental evaluation of what's going on. And giving yourself the gift of having that conversation with you. And what I realized was I hadn't slept on a Sunday in 5 years. I was dreading going to work. My patience wasn't what it used to be. I was not able to listen as deeply to people because I'm like, yeah, just get to the point. Let's just keep it moving, right? I had so many things going on. I was in constant conflict, constantly battling BS, quite frankly. And it was just weighing me down. I was exhausted. I gained so much weight and I was just tired. It was just awful. And so finally I thought, wait, I'm here. It's Christmas 2016. Yes, I'm here with my family, but I'm tired. They're irritating me. And it wasn't just them. It was the fact that anyone else was breathing my air was irritating me. I just wasn't doing good if I wasn't with me and wasn't by myself. And I thought, no, that's not how I want to be. That's not who I am. That's not where I want to be. I want to be in a place where I am comfortable with me, where I'm feeling good, where I'm sleeping, all of that kind of stuff. And so I just made the decision, thought about it, marinated on it, prayed about it, and said, I think I'm done. And here's the beauty of having that conversation and having enough love and respect for yourself to have that conversation. When you have that conversation and you have it in peace and quiet, it enables you to have the opportunity to make a decision and make a plan. And you are so comfortable in that plan that whatever anybody else's response to that plan is, it doesn't take you off your game. And that's when you also know you're doing the right thing for you. And that's why I say, don't be so mad at them that you hurt you. Because I was irritated. I was like, why am I having to deal with these folks? Why am I having to go through all this? Why do we keep having to have these same conversations over and over and over and over? Good morning, V. Good morning, Mama Young. Why do we have to keep having these things over and over again? Good morning, Miss Eddie. It is, and I realized once I made that decision, I just said, you know what? I went in and said, I'm just letting you guys know that I'm done. It's February. I'm giving you till May. Because again, I was in that space where I was so convicted and so comfortable with my decision. And my decision was to support and help me, not to hurt them. So I was like, I'll stay till May. I know I'm in this senior level position. We got this big project going on. My goal is not to hurt you, but my goal is to take care of me, which means I'm out of here by May. And by doing that, and by being so convicted and so clear about what I needed and what I wanted, because I needed and wanted it, not because I needed to or wanted to hurt somebody else, it all worked out, right? I ended up staying longer than I intended to, but there was some reason and reward for that. Enabled me to invest in what I need to invest in to get this business started. But I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not taken that time in that December of 2016, had I not spent the time and said, something is wrong and I have a choice. I have a choice of how I'm going to respond to this. I have a choice of how I'm going to work this. And I am more important than this job. I am more important to me than this job. And here's where we get caught up, women especially. I am my job. I am my title. There are people counting on me. There are other people in the organization, especially when you're at a senior level. There are people in the organization who are looking up to me. If I leave, what is that going to say? Who's going to take care of them? I built this team. What's going to happen when I go? I'm not saying that stuff isn't real. It is absolutely real. It's absolutely real. If you're feeling it, it is absolutely real. And they will be just fine. They will be just fine. It won't be you. There'll be somebody else. Some may be better than you. Some may be worse than you. Some may be just the same. But they will be fine. And the reality is they won't be fine if you stay and you can't be 100% you. So be okay with one, saying no. And be okay with saying, I'm first on my list and here are the things I need to do for me. And I am so sorry if you're not okay with that. I really am. And I'm still going to do this for me. And if you're not okay with that, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. And that's what self-love and Love Week is about. Yes, love your person. Love your person. But love you. Love you, because they always say, you've got to be really good with you before you can be good with somebody else. Because if you're looking to a job, if you're looking to a person, if you're looking to a title, if you're looking to a company, if you're looking to any of that for validation, that stuff is fleeting. You get a new boss, the company changes hands, the company goes out of business, whatever happens, and then all of a sudden everything that you are is gone. But here's the truth. Everything that you are is not gone, because you are more than that job, that title, that boss, that paycheck. You're more than that. You're more than that. Those things are important depending on what you want. And we all have bills to pay, right? And unless you are independently wealthy or you are lucky enough to win the lottery, then you probably need something that funds you. So I'm not saying be crazy and just go, do nothing. And not every dollar is a good dollar. Not all money is good money. Not all money is good money. Is it really worth your health and your peace of mind? So mental, physical, right? Financial. Is it worth that for you? They call it professional services. They call it golden handcuffs. Because professional services pays a lot of money. They pay a lot of money. Now they take a lot of risk, but they pay a lot of money. Investment banks, they pay a lot of money. And so people get caught and stuck because they don't want to leave the money. That's why they call it golden handcuffs. And if they're really afraid you're going to leave, they just throw more money at you. A bigger bonus, a bigger salary, more stock options, all that kind of stuff. But at some point, the question for you becomes, what am I worth? And I'm just going to say this. What's my price? What's my price? And is there a price? Because I decided there was no price for my sanity. There was nothing anybody could pay me at any level that was worth me losing my mind any more than I had already. Or losing my health. Because again, the thing you got to remember, especially about corporate America, not so much smaller businesses, because I think small business owners and entrepreneurs really try to do a better job. But big corporations, they are about shareholders. Now, every once in a while, you get a really good boss. You get a company that really is trying to do the right thing. Patagonia really does try to make an impact on society, right? There are companies that do have missions and other purposes for what they're doing. So I know I'm spreading peanut butter here. But big corporate, right? Big corporate has a tendency to have the biggest focus on the shareholders, the return on investment, the stock price, all of that kind of stuff. That's why trickle-down economics doesn't work. The tax cuts don't go to more jobs or higher wages. They go to higher dividends. And that's just a fact. So we speak the truth here. That's just a fact. Go look it up. Very, very, very few, like maybe 1% of companies actually have all of that savings trickle down. Even into innovation, right? Because if you're at least using it into innovation, you're building more products, which gives you an opportunity to build the business and potentially put more people on. But that's not where it's going. It's going to shareholders. And we saw what that means when that whole Reddit, GameStop thing happened. It's okay when those who are already big are making money, but when the little people decide to game the system, then it's a problem, right? So when you think about what you're worth and what price you have, what is the price that someone could pay you pay, whether that's money, time, prestige, whatever, that will make you okay with giving up you. And only you can decide that. Only you can decide that. And during Love Week, I want you to love you and take the time. Give yourself the gift of time to sit with that, especially if you're miserable right now, especially if you're in transition right now. Because this too shall pass. It will. It will pass. It is painful. I'm telling you, growth is painful. Transition and transformation is painful because you're being pushed to something that you haven't done before. You're being pushed to show up or use skills that you haven't had to use before. You're pushed into being visible. Hello. Okay? You're being pushed to do things that you are really uncomfortable with. And so it's hard. It is hard work. And the other side of that is so valuable. But you got to give yourself that time to sit still, practice the power of the pause, and answer the questions of why. Why am I miserable? Why am I okay with this? Why is it not more important to me to make sure I'm okay than it is to make sure somebody else is okay? All of those why questions. And then what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And where can you, in that time, dig up the courage to do something? Because sometimes that is speaking truth to power. You know what? I love this company. I love what I'm doing. I really want to stay, but we can't keep doing this. Not if you want me to stay. And you have to be able to approach those conversations knowing your position. So I knew when I said I was out that that's what I meant. There wasn't anything they could do or say that would make me change my mind. I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset. I wasn't crying. None of that kind of stuff. I was so clear that it didn't matter. So when you get ready to have a conversation with someone and you've decided what you want, when you say that out loud and it's peaceful, you know you're in the right space. When you're able to listen to what somebody says, this isn't working for me, the way we're talking to people, the way we're doing business just isn't working for me. If their response is able to make you upset, you're not in the right place yet. Because if you really are ready to speak that truth to power, then you also have your plan ready. Because if they say, well, we don't know what to tell you because that's just how we are, then you're like, okay, now I know the rules. And now I can put the rest of my plan in place, whether that is I'm going to sit still for a minute until I can get out, or I'm leaving today because I already have my plan in place, whatever it is. But if you've given yourself, good morning, Carlsbad, California, if you've given yourself the opportunity to get clear, to sit still, to listen, to put yourself first, then your ability to respond to whatever they do is so much stronger because you're so convicted in your position that whatever they say and whatever they do will either support it, like, yep, that was absolutely the right thing to do, or it will support it. Yeah, see, I was right. Because if you're really convicted, there's nothing anyone can say that's going to change that. Now, that can be good or bad, right? And that's why I say you need to pause. You need to get real. You need to get real. You need to get real facts. You need to do real research. If you are really looking at leaving, you need to take a hard look at your finances. You need to take a hard look at your spend. You need to take a hard look at your family situation, your personal situation. You need to be honest with yourself when you get ready to make moves so that you can plan. And when you plan what your move is going to be, you can plan what your actions are going to be. Maybe you don't have that conversation tomorrow. Maybe you have that conversation in 3 months. And you just try to make sure you manage appropriately until that time. Because again, you don't want to hurt you because you're mad at them. Now, leaders, this whole thing about love, I always forget his name. I think it's Stephen Farber, wrote a book about love in business. And love being the main strategy, which is always weird when people talk about love in a business setting because, people are litigious and what do you mean and all that kind of stuff. And I always talk about being careful about treating people like family when you're in business. But love in this context is you have enough care and concern for your fellow human, for the people who have made the choice to come work for you. Because even if they don't think they have a choice, everybody has a choice. People can always say no. Even when we feel like we don't have a choice, we always have a choice. So showing that love as a leader is understanding that people have a choice whether or not they show up and how they show up every day, every minute, every hour. They have a choice. And you have a choice in how you're going to respond to that. When you're talking about recognition, and this is a great time of year and a great week to show recognition for people. It's not always about money. We talked about golden handcuffs, right? This week, do you schedule, hey, I'm sending stuff to everybody's house because we're in COVID, right? I'm just going to send a meal to everybody's house because I just want to say thank you. Do I just pick up the phone randomly and call all my employees this week and just say, I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate you being here. Just checking on you. You don't talk about business. You don't talk about the latest project. You don't talk about any of that. And if they try to, you say, no, we can talk about that later. I was just calling to check on you. Do you know how far that will go? If it's genuine, because people can always tell when you're lying too. Mm-hmm. If it's genuine, if you are genuinely calling people, because you know what? I want you to know how much I appreciate you. Even if you're someone like me, I do want people to know how much I appreciate them. But I don't need to know all their business. That's not my thing. I don't care. I care that you are safe. I care that you are healthy, and I care that you are content. But I don't need to know every issue, every birthday, every kid's practice. I can't, y'all. I cannot, right? It's too much energy for me. It's too much. I absorb too much of that. But I want to know that you're all right. And if all of that stuff is impacting you, then we can talk about that and talk about how we can help support you. But I'm not going to go ask you all those detailed questions about who you are and what you do and kids and husband and partner. And I'm just not. I'm just not. But that doesn't mean that I don't care. So but people who know me know that, right? They know that. And so if you're going to show your employees, especially small business owners, if you're going to show people some love, one of the best ways to do that is showing them some time, giving them some time, giving them attention. When you are talking to someone, are you looking them in the eye? Are you listening to what they're saying, or are you thinking about the other stuff you got to do? And I'm real bad at that. I sometimes I think I'm really nuts because I can be literally thinking about 4 or 5 things at the same time. I don't know how that happens. I don't know. And I am 100% attuned to what you're saying to me. 100%. And I got 4 other conversations going on in my head. I don't know what that is, but I just roll with it. But people need to know that you're paying attention. How many times have we said, man, I met so-and-so, and it was like I was the only person in the room. I remember meeting Nicole. It was Nicole Murphy at the time. A friend of mine went to Tuskegee with Keenan Ivory Wayans. And so he'd invited me to his wedding. And Nicole Murphy was there. And her dad and my cousin happened to be best friends. He is her godfather. And so I saw her there. And I was like, oh, I need to, because Willie wants me to say something. So I went up to her. Of course, she had bodyguards and everything. I'm like, please don't arrest me. I'm just passing on a message. And it was like the way she looked at me and listened to what I was saying, it was like there was nobody else at that wedding. It was weird. Well, no, that's not true. It wasn't weird. It was surprising because, again, we put these things in our mind about who these people are, right? Because we see them. One, she is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the pictures and what you see on TV does not do this woman justice. How she still looks the way she does after 5 kids, I have no idea. But she is stunning. And there was no one else that existed as she was having this conversation with me. To the point where she said, it was so glad. Please tell him I said hello. And it was so great to meet you. It wasn't that, oh yeah, so great to meet you. Thank you so much. Eye contact. It was, and I, in that moment, I felt like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like she's really talking to me. She's not like, who is this person who is trying to get some of my attention? Mm-hmm. So think about that. So that's somebody who's in the public eye. But think about it if you're the CEO, if you're the owner of the business, if you're the head of the department. And that person who just comes to work every day and they are the ones that are dusting or cleaning your bathrooms or locking up or doing security. And you call them or you look them in the eye or you call them by name. That makes a difference to people because you're telling them, I see you. You are worthy of attention. You are worthy just because you exist. You are worthy. And whoever I am doesn't make me more worthy or more important than you. And I was always taught, and you can see this meme all the time, you treat the janitor with the same level of respect you treat the CEO. In some cases more, because that janitor is cleaning up after you. The CEO is not. Right? So, Love Week is more than that, Venus, lusty kind of love. That's not what I'm talking about. Although that's your thing, and you got that. I'm so happy for you. But I'm talking about loving, right? I'm talking about loving yourself enough so that you can give that same respect and love to other people. Because that is what is going to make us move forward in a way that is reasonable, that is collaborative, that is focused on outcomes and not just win, 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 win. Because when you're focused on overall outcomes and collaboration, everybody wins something. But if all you're focused on is how I can win, that's part of the problem with the last administration. And if you read about it, it's kind of like that whole idea of the whole idea of the battle being, I'm winning, you're losing. As opposed to the quote unquote win-win, where everybody gets something. That's real business. When everybody comes out in some way a little bit better or with something. That's the best kind of collaboration, the best kind of relationships. Is when everybody's got a voice, everybody's got a position, everybody's got a point, everybody's got an opportunity. That's what that's about. And that is grounded in love. Love for your fellow human. Love for the community. Love for the world at large. That's, to me, what Love Week is about. And yeah, chocolate and champagne is pretty nice. Because I love me some VC, man. Give me some bubbles any day, and I am a happy girl. Chocolate, if it's dark chocolate, I'm good. But, that milk chocolate stuff, I can't. Or those cherry things, the chocolate covered cherry. Oh, no. Oh, I don't know what that is, that liquid stuff. I can't, y'all. It's a texture thing. I so digress. But anyway, y'all have been with me long enough to know it just happens. But I want as we think about this week, watch my time, as we think about this week and this idea of love and loving through leadership, really stay focused on how you are taking care of you so you can take care of others. Because when you are strong in you and you are feeling good and you're feeling healthy and you're feeling connected, then you can do the same for other people. When you're not, you can't. You cannot serve from an empty cup. You can't serve from an empty cup. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to say not right now. It's okay to say, I love you, but I'm not coming. It's okay. Because you can't be all things to all people all the time. But those who love you, those who are in your village will get that. And they're not going to be, personally offended, or as my friend says, they're not going to be all butthurt because you didn't show up.
They're not going to keep pressing it.
They're not going to keep pressing if you say no. In fact, what they're probably going to say is, are you okay? Yeah. And if you say, I need a minute, they're like, all right, well, I'm going to check on you later. And then they leave you alone. But they check on you later. Right? That's what a village does. A village doesn't say, come on. You got to go. Unless they know you. Now, there are some friends who'll do that, who love you very much. But in those circumstances, they're pushing you because they know it's the right thing for you to do. And it's not that you really are having some other things. You just don't want to go because you're just being you. And that's different, right? Because sometimes you do need people to just push you out of your comfort zone and just show up. Like Jerry Beasley making me go do this golf tournament. Because, my clubs are still in my closet. But I'm determined. I'm not gonna embarrass you, Jerry.
That's right.
I gotta feel right.
I'm ready for it.
See, Jerry's ready. I'm not ready. But I'm gonna be ready.
No, I'm.
How much time do I have?
You got till tomorrow.
Okay, well, that may be one of those times that I'm like, no, I will not be there. I'm so sorry. Right? I'll show up for a picture because I'm gonna be cute. I may not be effective, but I'll be cute. Yes. So you got to pay attention to where you are and who you are, and surround yourself with people who are gonna push you when you need to be pushed, because that's also love. And people who are also gonna give you a minute when you need a minute, because that's love. Mm-hmm. because they are just as concerned, if not more so, about you and your health and your effectiveness and your goals and your dreams as they are about their own. And that's what great leaders do. Leadership is about getting things done through other people. Leadership is about pushing people further than they ever thought they could go in a way that helps them recognize their strengths and their skills. Leadership is not about you, it's about the other person. And that is love. Because I want you to be successful. Yes, ultimately, if you're successful, if all of you guys are successful, then I'm successful as the leader, and then the company's successful. Yes, of course. That's the way that works. But I want you to be successful however we define that. Maybe your success is that you're actually able to get that project done in and on time, given everything that's going on. And that's all I need you to do. That's success.
I have a question.
Yes.
So,
Oh, come to the mic, please. To that mic.
so I have a question. The question I have is,
Oh,
Go ahead.
in leadership, there's a transformational leader and there's also a servant leader.
Mhm.
In corporate America, can you tell the difference when it's time to use either one of those?
that's a great question.
Let her answer that one more time so
Yeah.
they can be heard.
Okay.
She can be heard.
So in leadership, there's several types of leaders.
Mhm.
When you deal with transformational leadership, where you're wanting your world to change based on what you do, versus a servant leader who leads from behind sometimes, how do you marry the two, or do you ever marry the two in leadership? Because I think oftentimes we're so focused on getting things done that we may forget that sometimes you can lead from behind and be just as successful. Could you share on
Absolutely.
that, please?
Oh, that's a great question. So, one, I think great leaders do both all the time and often simultaneously. Because I say all the time, leadership is not about position. Leadership is about behavior. Because you can lead from the back. And so there are ebbs and flows in business where if the business is making a big turn, if you've got a new product launch, if you are selling a piece of the business off, if you are growing exponentially, that you really do need to stand at the front and help people understand. You need to be the cheerleader. You need to be, leading the parade, right? And transforming people's thoughts to say, I know we always did this, but here's what we're going to have to do to make this happen, right? Because what got you there won't get you here. And your ability to do that effectively is if you have been an effective servant leader. Because people are not going to care about what you think or what you're doing until they know you care about them. And so it is a combination of servant leadership and transformation. The transformation, from my perspective, is situationally led. Servant leadership is constant. It's constant. It has to be. That's the Rutledge perspective on transformational versus servant leadership. Thank you for that question. That was a great question. Any other questions online? Are people online? I saw you getting some numbers. Hey, Tony.
I was just getting the names of
Okay, the names of the
from my
cities.
towns.
Okay, so I really want, Love Week, it sounds really weird, and y'all know me, I had a plan. We were going to talk about code switching, but then I just, something else happened. And I just thought it was important, really important, especially when we see the new strains of the virus cropping up, when people are trying to figure out how to get this dang vaccine, when we still see some things going on across the country that are disturbing, when we are still trying to figure out how to bridge the gap and come back together in a way that makes sense, because forgiveness is divine, and there's been some behaviors that I'll forgive you because I'm supposed to, but I'm not going to forget, right? And so we're in this really weird quandary where, as Loretta Ross says, we're canceling the call-out culture, and we are in a place in time where we are calling people out for bad behavior, as we should be. The challenge is when it flips over to calling people out for shaming them or hurting them. That's not going to change behavior. In fact, often that kind of calling out makes somebody sit deeper and dig their heels in deeper to that behavior that's unacceptable. And so love also includes understanding those folks who have been misled, misguided, probably acted because of that misguidance in ways that now they are realizing were unacceptable, incorrect, damaging. And part of loving a group and loving a team is figuring out how to bring those people back into the fold. And if you're a leader, especially you're a leader in corporation because you got much bigger teams, you're going to have some of all of that. And how do you manage to serve all of those people in this environment now? Where people are now again expected to act like adults. Well, people are expected to have civil conversation. Not to agree on everything. That's the misconception. You don't have to agree on everything to be civil. Being civil is about maturity. It's about consistency. It's about clarity. It's about just as much concern for the other side. It's about a willingness to listen actively. And even if you don't agree, I'm telling you, if you listen to other opinions that are contrary to yours, even if they don't change your mind, if nothing else, you have now got enough information to even bolster your argument. So take it as that. If you don't want to hear it and don't want to listen because you don't want to hear it, think about it strategically. If I know everything they're thinking, then I can do my argument differently to combat theirs. Think about it as a game. If you can't think about it, it's just the right way to be. But that's all a part of this leadership, transformational leadership, as well as servant leadership, loving yourself first so that you are calm and cool and collected and grounded, so that you can serve and be pivotal, right? And flexible and adaptable because you are grounded in what you know and what you need and your love for self so that you can love others. You are clear about what your direction and action is, but you are also surrendering to the flow. We talked about that. That's my word this year, surrender. Surrender to the flow. You are able to move because you understand the end goal and that there may be multiple paths to that end goal. But since you are grounded, you're willing to surrender to the flow, you can go any way it needs to go and still get to that goal. Because it's not so much about the individual action as it is the ultimate outcome that you're going for. Because there are many different paths to the same place. And just because you know one doesn't mean everybody else's is wrong.
Can I say this?
Yes, ma'am.
When you talk about the ultimate outcome of what you're doing, even when we're talking about the golf, for me, it's not about the golf.
Right.
It's about the business on the golf course.
Yes.
It's about the connections that are made on the golf course. And so that's why I said it doesn't matter if you know how to play or not.
Yep.
We're just going to take the pictures.
Right.
But I know the end goal is to make the proper connections.
Yep.
I asked Cynthia to stay over from my show to come here, not thinking that she's an alumni of Prairie View. And that's a connect for you because you want to get back on the campus and do some things and make sure the students know. And she wants to get before young people.
Right.
I think in this season, if we're open, like you said, connecting to the flow, it was a young lady that I was determined didn't know how to do what I needed her to do, not knowing that she knew how to do it, because I was focused on who I wanted to do it.
Yes.
And I've always said, I'm not a leader who changes horses in the middle of the stream, but I need to change that. Because sometimes you're going to have to change that horse in the middle of the stream. If that horse is tired, if that horse is just laying there not doing what they need to do, then you have to leave your options open. And when I took the advice that I heard from you speak about that and gave her an opportunity, she blew my mind.
Yes.
And so I'm making sure that I'm more careful not to just silence you because I just think you don't know what you're talking about. Because I know how I want it done, and give you the opportunity to do that. I think as all leaders are learning how to pivot in this season. Then another thing you talked about was the numbers going up and the flying and the planes. And sometimes as a leader, you can almost get panicky because you see people in your industry going back and doing it the same way they've been doing it.
Right.
But you don't feel, me personally, because I was talking to Cynthia earlier, I said, I'm ready to get my productions back, but I know that I have to be mindful of bringing all these people back together again. How we're going to maybe get tested, make sure everybody has the vaccine, and then we can move forward. So you can't really judge your success or your path on somebody else's, or else you're going to get depressed.
Absolutely. It's all about flexibility and responsiveness, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that None of us has all the answers. There's always a different perspective. That's a reason why I call it the Rutledge perspective, because I believe you change a perspective, you change your circumstances. And by getting a number of different perspectives, you are able to solidify your own. How do you truly know what your truth is if you've never heard anybody else's? How do you know? How do you know?
You get in this place, you know what you like.
You know what you like.
But then again, you really don't, because you're growing and evolving, and because something she did for me, and I'm like, I didn't know I would like that.
Yes.
But I changed.
Yes.
So you have to think about it, because I think in this process, if you didn't change in this year, question that, because life has changed as we know it.
Life has changed.
And in the midst of life changing, there ought to be some changes in the flow that we have to go in that we probably never went in before. Then you said, you can forgive, but you can't forget, because that mistake can be repeated again. But don't hurt them trying to hurt you. Don't
hurt yourself because you're mad at them. Don't hurt yourself because you're mad at them.
Break that down.
And one thing you said though, Jerry, about, finding, you know where you want to go, but then you have somebody do something for you that you didn't realize you wanted and that you liked.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about that I want to be really clear about. It is one thing to have a clarity of vision. Here's where I'm going. Here's what I want. I want the Rutledge Perspective to continue to grow as a global show. I want to be able to impact people around the world. That's the vision. Because that vision is big and broad but clear, how I get to that vision is wide open. Podcasts will help. Advertising will help. Sponsorships will help. The golf tournament will help. So getting new pictures and posting, all that stuff helps. But I haven't said, I want to be on a global radio show, but I'm going to start with the U.S. first, and then we're going to start talking about Spain, and then we're going to, I didn't do that. I said, I want a global show. I want to be global. I want to make a global impact. And through the kindness of the heart of Jerry P. Beasley.
Oh, my God.
I am on this show, and I looked at it. I looked at my stats today, even on the podcast, and I'm like, the top I reached was like 33 in South Africa. We got people every week listening from multiple countries, but I knew, actually that's not true. I didn't know. I knew I wanted to be visible. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know that was going to be a radio show until Jerry said, I need you to come do a show, and I was like, no. And then somebody said, you've lost your mind. And so I came on the show. And now we got this amazing thing. Yeah. And we have got this partnership that just works. Because what my real goal was visibility. I'm going to be more visible. That's what I wrote down in 2019. I'm going to be more visible. And because I just said that, everything else that came up, I'm like, oh, well, now I said I wanted to be more visible. Need to do this radio show, because guess what? It live streams. I said I wanted to be more visible. Keep doing that podcast. Make sure you keep doing the videos for your podcast. I wanted to be more visible. Do those interviews with other people. So knowing what your ultimate plan is, your ultimate goal is, that's clear. You need to be clear there. But that doesn't mean you have to plan every single step. And I'm a planner. You don't have to plan every single step, because it doesn't allow for you to be in flow.
Laura, can I say this? I didn't know, even with this station at first, until the pandemic, how global we were. Yeah. Till I got from the familiar when he said, get your show off of Facebook when I was doing the music. Mm-hmm. He said, and focus only on the radio audience. Mm-hmm. No offense to the Facebook audience. Right. But I was trying to save 5 and 6 people when he had a whole world open. Right. When you said you wanted to be global, you're right. You don't know how that's going to happen. You don't. But if we put it out there, I believe that God put it in your spirit to ask for that. And when you said what was I over there doing, we're in the Philippines right now. We're in Germany right now. We're in Singapore right now. And you're global. Yeah. But I believe that whatever we do and whatever seed we sow, if we do it with excellence, it's going to be spread abroad. And most people can't get to the abroad because they're looking at, but that's all I have right now. There's so many people watching now. Right. And they don't know it's a whole nother world. Even when I stopped doing my Holy Ghost drive-by on my personal page, I got a page. It takes a while to reveal. It does. Like, you got 5,000 on this page, people. But you have to, if you're a pioneer like you are, like Cynthia are, you have to leave some comfortability. Yeah. and pioneer, and it may take a small minute,
Yeah.
but changes are happening if
It
you
does.
put the faith out there to get out there to do it. So I'm happy for your podcast, global, all that stuff you got
Yeah.
going on. Just don't forget me.
Right? I never forget you, Jerry P. No, it is, y'all. It is
Michelle.
amazing. It is amazing to have this opportunity, and you just got to be. Hey, Mom.
Michelle said, "Write the vision and make it plain." That's true.
There you go, Michelle. Write the vision and make it plain. And you know, sometimes that's hard to write it down because, like, ooh, should I be writing something down that big? Should I be? Because I'm telling you guys, you're looking at somebody and listening to somebody who likes being behind the scenes. Didn't have a
Show
picture
that
on.
poster.
Didn't have. Oh.
You ain't like to get behind no scene. Look at that fast.
Who, you know, right? I didn't have a picture on LinkedIn. I wasn't focused. I was only on Facebook because of my salsa group. I mean, I'm telling y'all, I wasn't out there. I wasn't out there. And now I'm like, the vision has changed because I stepped into it. And when I think about what this business is going to be and how I can impact, and it's not, yes, do I want a 7-figure business? I do. I want this business to be as big as I can make it. But not because of the 7 figures, but because of the impact that can be made by the business being bigger.
Yes.
I don't want anybody else sitting in overwhelm or hurting themselves because they're mad at their job. I don't want anybody else being stuck in a certain kind of leadership position because they haven't really dug deep into how they lead and how they can change. And if I can impact that for the people who need me and want to work with me, I have to be visible so they can find me. I can't just sit back and say, oh, please find me. Please come work with me. I have to put it out there so you know I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, it's Love Week. Please, please, please put yourself on the list. You cannot serve from an empty cup. You cannot serve from an empty cup. Please put yourself on the list. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some grace. If you are in a transition position right now, trying to figure out whether you're going to keep the job you have, do something else, fearful because, oh, there's so much going on, there's so much unemployment, I need to just stay here. Well, you might need to stay a minute, but that doesn't mean you need to allow yourself to be mistreated or you can't make a plan. You can still make a plan in this period of having to sit still. So please give yourself the gift of time and patience and still and quiet and process to figure out what your move is going to be. Now, if you are in harm's way, you need to get out and then figure it out later. If you're not in harm's way, if you're just uncomfortable and you're just mad, I need you to sit still and let's make a plan. Okay? So, again, as a reminder, February 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Central Time. I don't care where you are in the world, you are welcome to join. We're doing a career transformation with Laurel Summit. 22nd, 23rd, 24th of February this month, so week after next. Okay, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Quick burn. I'm not going to be there for 9 days. We're going to get to all 5 secrets in 3 days. And we're starting with strategy, y'all. So come join me. I know you'll be able to get something valuable from that. And then if there's more, then there'll be a way for you to work with me, okay? But come join, at least get that. It's free. I'm giving my time because I don't want anyone else sitting in overtime, in overwhelm, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, here's how you do it. laurelrutledge.com/summit-career. And I'm going to post it on my page, and Jerry, I'm going to send it to you too. Summit-career. Or text the word rebuild, REBUILD, to 474747.
You gotta go slow. People driving, riding.
That's right. Rebuild, REBUILD, to the number 474747. Now, if you're driving right now, don't be texting this. JP. If you're driving, don't text. Do not text and drive, okay? So there are multiple ways to do that. Or get on my page, The Rutledge Perspective, and send me a DM. Laurel, I'm trying to find this. Where is it? And I'll respond. Okay? Thank you. Thank
Michelle
you.
says, I'm working on myself mentally and physically. That's a good thing.
That's the way to do it. Because it all works. When you feel better physically, you can feel better mentally. Sometimes you need to start mental and then physical. Whatever you need to do, self-love is about doing you.
Annette Phillips is listening in New York.
Good morning, Annette. Thank you, New York, for being here. So I want to say thank you again. You guys are awesome. I love all of you guys. I appreciate so much that you make the choice to spend your time with me on Tuesday mornings. I really do not take that for granted. I am honored and humbled that you do that. Thank you for tuning in again to the Rutledge Perspective. We will be back next week, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central Time. And we're talking code switching next week, okay? All right, y'all. Bye.